Are you struggling to pace your story? Do you ever find yourself stuck while writing, trying to find that perfect balance between the characters' actions and their internal emotions and thought process, so that your scene unfolds seamlessly like watching a movie? Many writers struggle with pacing, finding that delicate balance between what's happening externally and what's happening internally within the characters. If we focus too much on external events, we start to feel detached from the main character whose point of view we're supposed to be in. And then on the flip side, if we spend too much time in the character's thoughts, we start to lose track of what's even happening around them. In this video, we're going to explore the science of pacing. Slow pacing, fast pacing, montage pacing, all the different kinds of pacing, with side-by-side examples so that we can figure out what works and what doesn't. So grab a notebook and let's get into this.
Why does your story matter? Good question. What if I told you that there's a science behind every great story? I don't just teach you how to write. I teach you how to change the world with your story and make your author dreams come true.
Okay, I'm just gonna tell you the awful truth to start with. There is no one-size-fits-all rule to pacing. Nice as it would be to have a guide that we could always follow and get pacing right every single time, it's going to differ from scene to scene and author to author and book to book. The golden rule of pacing that you need to remember is this: your reader sees everything happening at the pace at which they read. And this is actually really exciting because it means that we can speed up or slow down the pace at which they read and then manipulate how they are seeing the scene unfold. It's basically like film editing, but you're doing it in your own imagination and the reader's imagination. So it's not that slow pacing is bad and boring and annoying, and it's not that fast pacing feels rushed and amateur. It's neither one of those. There is a time and place for fast pacing, there's a time and place for slow pacing, and there's a time when neither one works. It all depends on the scene you're writing and how you want it to unfold in your reader's mind. So we're gonna look at fast pacing that works, slow pacing that works, fast pacing that doesn't work, slow pacing that doesn't work, and why. We're gonna really study these examples and figure out, okay, what is it that works or doesn't work? So first, let's look at an example of fast pacing that actually works. So this is an excerpt of a fight scene that I wrote, and I love using fast pacing for writing fight scenes because you want your reader to see this fight unfolding quickly, like an action scene in a movie. I spring into action, lunging at my opponent with a combination: jab, straight right, uppercut in the ribs. The finish lands harder than I expected, knocking the air out of his lungs and making him stumble over his feet. He counters, but I swat his punches away like flies, bobbing and weaving around his shots with ease. Get your anger out now, you jerk. I duck and move in, slugging a hard right hook to his ribs. He staggers forward, trying to ram his knee into my gut, but I don't give him a chance. I trap his arms and pivot on my feet, throwing him over my shoulder like a rag doll. He lands on his back with a bone-rattling thud, gasping as he stares up at me. So my takeaways, looking at this excerpt, is that we're not spending a lot of time on each action. We are seeing these movements happen very quickly, very short and sharp descriptions, which means we aren't lingering on describing every emotion and every feeling, because if we did that, we would be slowing down the pace of the actual fight, right? So instead, we want to see it like an action scene, so it's action, 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 right? Sometimes fast pacing works better than slow pacing in a scenario like this, where you want your reader to see the events unfolding quickly as possible. If we were to use slow pacing here and spend more time deliberating on the characters' internal thoughts and their memories and every single emotion, it might look something like this. I spring into action, moving with swift and practiced precision as I cross the length of the fighting ring, closing the distance between myself and my opponent. I rely on a solid 3-punch combination that I've been practicing on the heavy bags for weeks. Jab, straight right, uppercut to the ribs. Each strike lands with a satisfying thud, bringing me a sense of victory as I force him back into the opposite corner of the ring. I hear the wheezing gasp of air rushing out of my opponent's lungs, drawing back in time to see him stumble over his feet. Sweat trickles down my face as I catch my breath and prepare to defend his counter maneuver. My heart pounds thunderously in the back of my head as I wait, my fists up in defense, prepared to block any attack and win the fight. Are you bored yet? Because I am very bored. If this was a scene that I was reading in a book, it would be very hard for me to visualize these events unfolding quickly, because your brain is literally slowing down into slow motion to process all these in-between things. What I see immediately here in this example is too many pauses between the actual action points. We get lost in this muddy, sort of overwhelming description, and we lose track of what we're even looking at because we're spending too much time on these breaks in between each movement and what the character is thinking about it. Whereas in the first example, we felt like we were right there in the thick of the action with those characters, feeling what they were feeling, seeing it happen quickly and aggressively, which is how a fight scene should feel. But on the flip side, there are instances where slow pacing works. So let's look at an example of what that might look like. It's not a fight scene. This excerpt is taken from my book, The Other World, and this is a scene where my main character, Orca, is searching her island for the missing pilot, Adam. The day passes slowly. Side by side, Lucius and I scout the entire coastline of the island, picking our way through fields of driftwood, climbing up rocky slopes, edging along the tree line to peer down at the tidewater smashing against the shore. My legs grow tired of hiking, and my eyes grow weary of surveying the landscape, but my heart never ceases to anxiously press against my ribs, thudding with equal parts hope and dread. I still haven't sorted out what I'll do if he's badly injured or unconscious. Or even worse, what if he's dead? I couldn't leave him wherever I found him, but I couldn't drag his body back to the lighthouse either. How would I manage? How would I tell Jack? The lighthouse is coming back into view now, rising from the northern tip of the island to shine courageously across the dark gray sea. The clouds at the horizon have split open to allow the sun her one and only appearance of the day, skipping orange flares across the tops of the waves before the ocean swallows her up. So as you can see with this example, we have the slow pacing, we have some of the lyrical descriptions, we have some of the whimsical nature descriptions, but it all fits Orca's voice and her current mood. So I'm actually using slow pacing here to emphasize how time seems to be stretching on forever for Orca. During this day of searching the island tirelessly, I'm really trying to emphasize how she feels about it, her desperation, her disappointment, her loneliness, and then spending time on her internal struggle, her internal turmoil and thoughts and questions and doubts and fears, because we need to see that glimpse into what is she actually thinking about all of this, right? And we have time to, because it's not a fast-paced action scene. We don't have to hit pause on the action to see what the character is feeling, because it's all woven into what she's been struggling with all day long as time seems to be stretching on for this impossibly long amount of time. And even the description at the end about the lighthouse and the sun setting, it all works together because it kind of is juxtaposed with Orca's disappointment and longing and loneliness, and the fact that she feels like she let herself and Adam and Jack down in failing this search. So if I were to take that scene and rewrite it to be fast pacing, it wouldn't work. It would sound something like this. The day passes slowly. Lucius and I scout the entire coastline of the island, but we don't find anything. I try my best to look for Adam, but my efforts prove fruitless, and eventually I'm so tired that I can't see straight. I still haven't sorted out what I'll do if he's badly injured or unconscious, or even worse, what if he's dead? I don't know what I'll do, or how I'll tell Jack. The lighthouse is coming back into view now, shining in the glow of the setting sun. Lucius pants beside me, and I scratch his head as we walk back up to the house. So it's a lot quicker, but it doesn't deliver the same emotional punch, right? We're not allowed to linger on those emotions that Orca is feeling, and therefore we feel more detached from her character in this moment. Plus, the style feels cut and dry. It doesn't feel like her voice at all. She's very much kind of an Anne Shirley-ish character in that she really lingers on and leans into her emotional struggles and the sort of lyrical, whimsical way that she looks at the world around her. And the quick pacing here, by glossing over, I try my best, but my efforts are fruitless, and eventually I'm so tired I can't continue. That doesn't really make me feel how long and arduous this search has been. So sometimes slow pacing is better than fast pacing because it allows us to linger on the character's emotions and how they perceive time passing. So it all depends on the type of scene you're writing. Is it quick action, or is it more of a slow, dragged out, arduous experience that this character is going through? How do they perceive time passing? Because that's going to influence how you want your reader to perceive time passing. Like in a fight scene, time is passing very quickly. Everything seems to be happening in warp speed, whereas in a situation where your character wishes things would happen quicker, wishes that something would change, it might feel like time is slowing to a crawl. Now, real quick, I want to show you what pacing for a montage might look like. So I love writing montages because it gives us that ability to make a lot of time pass, make a lot of things happen over the course of a certain amount of time for this character without spending a lot of time on it, okay? And there's different ways that you can do this. For my example right now, I'm going to look at my other book, 100 Days of Sunlight, which has several montages in it, but my favorite montage is the scene from Weston's flashbacks where he is recovering and training to get stronger. I set my alarm for 6:30 every morning. I had to get used to waking up early for when I went back to school, regular school, with Rudy and all my other friends. Nobody was standing in my way except for me, right? Right. I blasted the heavy bag in my garage every chance I got. 1-minute rounds turned into 2-minute rounds, turned into 3-minute rounds. Finally, I was able to beat that thing like it was out to kill me. My knuckles bled, and I flurried the bag, and Led Zeppelin screamed at me from the radio. I felt like I was dying, but at the same time, I finally felt alive again. I did 100 push-ups without stopping. I broke a new record at the track, a 2-minute and 13-second lap. I woke up at 6:30 every morning, and I never hit the snooze button. So as you can see with this scene, we are going super fast, like speeding through events, one line at a time. We are not lingering on any particular scenes. I'm more focusing on giving you flashes of images. And you can sort of approach this as if you were editing a movie, okay? If you were editing a movie and you were showing me all these scenes, we would be spending seconds the most on each scene. So what does that translate to writing? One line, a few words, and here you can also play with rhythm as a way to show the passage of time. So as you can see in this example, I used that with 1-minute rounds turned into 2-minute rounds, turned into 3-minute rounds. We can see the days going by in our heads, right? We can see maybe weeks going by just with the rhythm of using the contrast of progress. So of course it depends on the type of montage you're writing, but the more you can show me in a short amount of time, the more I'm going to see this whole sequence of events unfolding in flashes of imagery. You don't have to linger long on each image to make us feel something and see how these events are connected to each other. The best way to improve your pacing in your writing is to pay attention to what good pacing looks like. And this can be tricky to notice in books because if pacing is written really well, you shouldn't even notice it. It should be so immersive that you don't even remember that you're reading a book. You are in this world with these characters. But in these moments of deep immersion, try to pull back, try to pause and ask yourself, okay, what is it about this pacing that works? What is pulling me in right now? Why do I feel so immersed in this scene? What's the balance between the character's internal emotions and the action of what's happening. Annotating books and highlighting the action and the internal emotion of the characters can really help you to see how the author balanced these two things. But here are a few prompts that you can write down and take with you into your next scene. If you are struggling with pacing at all, ask yourself these questions. What needs to be accomplished in this scene? Write a short bullet point list of action steps for your own reference. What is the main force of conflict in the scene? Who is it impacting the most and why? What are your characters' agendas? How are they going to respond to the external conflict based on their goals? How fast or slow do I want my reader to see the scene unfolding? Your answer to this question will determine how much time you spend on action versus emotion. If you want to take your writing to the next level, find your unique style, and make your writing the best it can possibly be, I highly recommend checking out my recent live training, Elevate Your Writing: How to Find Your Voice and Make Your Prose Shine. Pacing is just one of the topics that we discussed in that training, but we also covered character voice, writing with rhythm, showing and not telling internal conflict, writing in deep point of view, and expanding your vocabulary in fun, creative ways. So if you want to take your writing practice to that next level, click the link below this video and get access to that 2-part live training. Also, when you get access to that training, you also unlock the rest of my previous live trainings, which is over 27 hours of in-depth teachings diving deep into character creation, writing, editing, publishing, and much more. So I hope to see you over there. Comment below and tell me, what is your favorite type of pacing to write? Are you more of the short and sharp, quick pacing kind of writer, or do you prefer slower, thoughtful, more lyrical writing? I'd love for you to join the discussion in the comments below this video. Smash that like button while you're down there and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I post writing videos every single Wednesday and I would love to have you here in the community. Until next week, my friend, rock on. Shh.